Jim Cathcart is on deck, and I'm so excited to have him as part of the Author-a-thon. Moderator, you can bring him in. He's allowed to have the big screen.
Ooh.
So, Jim, thank you for saying yes. There's been so many people in this segment about the yes, and you certainly have said yes a lot of times in your life to bigger opportunities. And you could have easily said, "I've never heard of this Author-a-thon before. I don't know what it's about." But thank you for saying yes and being here and sharing your beautiful message.
You're welcome. Well, when an opportunity arises, if you don't feel you're big enough for it, get into it and grow. Take it on, figure it out, reach out, get resources if you need to. My book is Mentor Minutes: How to Reach the Top 1% of any field you go after. Literally, you can do that. I can show you how. I've done it in my own life, and I have many, many uh, proteges who I've coached over the years to do that in their life. But I want to focus on the word mentor because out of 27 books that I've written, this one stands out as the most personally reflective of me, my life, how I've lived it, and how I suggest that other people do. Because I'm a full time mentor to professional experts. I help people get to the top 1% of their field and stay there for an entire career. So, what is a mentor minute? Well, a mentor minute is a moment in time where you change your mindset from the doer to the advisor, to the guide, to the caring leader. So there's a difference between a coach and a mentor. A coach is someone that will have you do the drills, tell you what to do, give you immediate feedback on it, tell you go do it again. They're coaching, got their little whistle and they're doing their thing. That's not all coaches, but that's representative of the coach mode or state, right? A mentor is a wise guide, someone you would go to and say, here's what's going, here's what's working, here's what seems not to. What do you think? And they give you a 30,000-foot view. But let me shift to a story about one of my mentors. And the story is titled with this question. I'd like you to ask yourself this question: who should you take time to thank? Every one of us is the result not only of our own efforts, but of all the input we've received and followed from other people over the years. There have been protectors, there have been guides, there have been teachers, there have been coaches, there have been role models. Who should we take time to thank? Well, when I was newly married and we had a baby at home and I was struggling, I was working as a clerk at the Little Rock, Arkansas Housing Authority, assistant to a guy who didn't need help. And so I was bored to tears, making $525 a month. And I decided I want to be a bank trust officer. So I called around and found somebody that knew a trust officer. And someone referred me to William Webster at Union National Bank in Little Rock. And I called him and I said, Mr. Webster, my name's Jim Cathcart. You don't know me, but could I get your guidance? I want to know how to become a trust officer. He said, well, come by at the end of work today. So when I got off work, I went to his office and he was still there. And it was up on like the 20th floor of the building or something. And he said, so tell me, what do you have going for you? And I said, well, nothing. I don't have a college degree. I don't have money. I don't know anybody with money. I'm not an academic achiever. I haven't been an athlete. I, I just want to be a trust officer someday. He said, well, here's a book. And he gave me a book from the American Bankers Association on trust departments. He said, read that and get back to me after you've read it. So I went home, and 2 days later, I'd read the book cover to cover. And I called him and I said, can I have another appointment? He said, not until you read the book. I said, I've read the book. So he tested me with a couple of questions and he could realize I read the book. So he said, come back. And I did. And when I came in that day, he asked me a few more questions and he gave me another book, which I promptly read. And then a few weeks later, I got an opportunity to go into the field of training and development, teaching other people's courses. And I've been in that field ever since. And that was back in 19, I don't know, 72, 73, something like that. So it's been a long time ago. And I realized years later, when I was celebrating like the 40th anniversary of my company, that Bill Webster made a big difference for me back in the day because he believed in me more than I believed in me. I was eager to learn, but I didn't have anything going for me. And he took time to provide some guidance. And it built my faith in myself. And even though I changed paths and never became a trust officer, I did, as a trainer, ultimately get hired by the American Bankers Association to teach bank presidents. Wow, what a leap, right? So I called when I was celebrating the anniversary of my company. I called Little Rock and I called around to find William Webster. And he lived in Pleasant Valley. And I thought, that's surely him. So I called. The woman answered the phone. She said, who is this? And I told her and why I was calling. And she said, okay, just a minute. And he came to the phone and he sounded very weak. And I said, Mr. Webster, I'm Jim Cathcart. I reminded him of our experience long ago. I said, I just want to say thank you for helping me grow at a time when I had no reason for anyone to help me. And he said, Jim, I honestly do think I remember that. He said, but I cannot tell you how powerful and wonderful this call is to me. I said, why is that? He said, I had a stroke recently and I'm just beginning to recover from it. And today is the first day of my therapy. And I was really, really nervous going into the therapy. And you've given me confidence. So bless your heart. Thank you for calling me. Well, I hung up and I cried, and he may have also cried. But I thought, what a wonderful gift to be able to thank somebody after so many years and have those thanks arrive at a time that made a difference for him. Every one of us has people who have helped, and we ought to ask ourselves pretty regularly, who should I take time to thank? That's the sort of guidance I put into this book. Everything in this book is 1 minute long. It's 336 1 minute ideas. Why 1 minute? Because I originally wrote them for radio broadcast and recorded them as 1 minute messages. And I wrote them with the thought in mind, what life lessons would I want to leave for my grandkids in the form of a business book to help mentor other people? So that's been the nature of my business ever since. I am a mentor to professional experts, coaches, consultants, authors, speakers, people whose business is centered around them delivering their talent, their expertise. So if you are the product, if you're at the center of your career, then you're the kind of person that I today, as a senior business person, mentor. And I've got clients worldwide. I've been a professional speaker for almost 50 years, written 27 books and delivered 3,500 paid convention speeches. So when I offer advice, it's not just an opinion. It's based in decades of real world experience with hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of people. So that's my story, as Les Brown, my friend, says, and I'm sticking to it.
I can't fault you for saying that's your story and you're sticking to it, because I think you should stick to it. So
thank you, Ken.
So thanks for being part of the Author-a-thon. And we have Dr. Celeste Payne, who's going to be the next person. So Jim, have a wonderful day. And thank you for being part of the Author-a-thon. We look forward to having you back in September and keep growing this bigger and bigger.
Tremendous. Thank you.
Thank you.